Discretion is advised.
Okay guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to install an NMO kit into a vehicle, but it's not going to be a vehicle this day. We're just going to install it into a cover on an old CB radio, just to give you a basic idea of how an NMO mounts into a roof and the tools that are required to make this possible. So the mount we're using today is one that was given to me by Mr. Lauren. It's a Motorola TAE6052 Alpha, and there's a chart here stating which frequency band that it's for, and the manuals here, the connectors here, everything you need to put an NMO mount and to get an antenna mount in your vehicle is supplied in this kit, connectors and all. So if you're interested in knowing how to install an NMO antenna mount into a vehicle, again, basic, it's going to be on a plate, then stay tuned. This is how I install NMO mounts in a vehicle. Okay, so this is the items that you'll get in the NMO antenna mount kit. You'll get the install manual. You'll get your NMO antenna mount. You'll get yourself an antenna. You'll get yourself your PL259 and a reducer and your mounting hardware to install it in the plate. So basically, this one here, as I stated, was a TA6052 Alpha, and that will correspond to this chart is the frequency band 450 to 470 megahertz. That's the frequency band that this particular antenna can be tuned to. We're not going to cut the whip, obviously, because we want to use this later, but we're just going to show you basically how to install the NMO in the roof of a vehicle, but in this case a steel plate, which is still good to use, believe it or not. Once you tune the antenna to that, it'll work just as fine. So again, you get your RG58 cable with your NMO mount right there. You get your antenna, and your mounts are right here for your antenna, your PL259 and your reducer, and of course your rubber grommet manual. So let's quickly go over the manual, give you a quick idea what you're dealing with here. So again, this is the TAE6052A. I'm not going to read the whole manual, mind you, just a quick little blurps out of it here or there. But anyway, the introduction. The antennas described in this section are supplied with an appropriate antenna whip, coaxial cable and connector, and mounting hardware. Mounting hardware and installation is described for 3 different types of mounting: roof mount, magnet mount, trunk lip mount, and refer to Table 1 for model identification. Figures 1 through 4 identify the component parts of the antenna. Refer to the recommendations for antenna location paragraph at the end of this instruction section for safety information. And of course, here's your 3 charts. This one is for your roof mount that we'll be using. You got a trunk lip mount right here and your magnet mount right here. And then on this side, it gives you basically the build-up of the antenna, how it's assembled for the most part. And then hardware. So here's the build-up of the NMO, particular mount that goes with the build it. It's actually pretty easy to do. nothing to it. There's a lot of tips and tricks of how to safely put an NMO in a vehicle. On my next radio install I will definitely show you tricks of the trade for that. So anyways, so that's basically paperwork. That's what comes with the Motorola kit. So now we're going to show you the tools that I use to install the NMO in a vehicle. Okay folks, this is the tools that you'll need to install the NMO. This is the tools I use every single time I install an NMO in a vehicle. I always use this small selection of tools. Of course, you're going to need your wire strippers, you're going to need a pair of needle nose pliers, you're going to need dielectric grease, you're going to need silicone, you're going to need a flathead screwdriver, you're going to need a pair of pliers, you're going to need a flathead file, you're going to need a round file, you're going to need this hole saw, you're going to need your torch, your solder, your multimeter, and of course drill. This is the items that are required to install an NMO. I will make note here, the two files are completely optional. That's completely up to yourselves, but I'll show you how I use these in my installations. Alright, so I've marked the center of my roof, which would be right here. I don't suggest you do this, but this here is just one pencil, just so I can find the center of this myself. But usually inside, underneath the roof layer, let's just say if this is the back of the car, this is the front of the car, and this is the very top of the roof. So basically, in any vehicle, when you got it around by the windshield, this steel comes in and it overlaps and it comes back in again. So up here close, within the first, I don't know, 2-3 inches, possibly 4 inches, there's actually double layer metal here. That you don't want to get into. Stay clear of the windshield. In the back of the vehicle, you could possibly find the same thing. Could overlap a little bit, maybe about an inch here, possibly. Again, you don't want to go too close to your edge. You don't want to go too close to the front. Of course, you don't want to go too close to the sides, because again, that's where your airbags are, on the sides. So, another thing to keep in mind when you're doing your roofs, most passenger vehicles, most cars will have what I call a reinforcing bar that goes across the center of the roof, usually between the front door and back door on your car. There's usually a bar that runs straight across the roof, straight across. You want to avoid that with all costs. That wide. You don't want to drill into that at all. Stay clear of that. If we're dealing with a pickup truck, say a double duty or whatever, seat in front, seat in the back, of course the roof is awfully long, front to back. And usually what they've got done with those vehicles, again, they have their center going here, and they can also have another bar either going toward the front or the bar going toward the back. So it's like an upside down T sort of thing. Again, you want to be wary of these things. And basically an easy way to find out if those bars are there is you push down. Don't push down enough to dent the roof or nothing, but push down, because usually where the bar is, the roof would be very sturdy, very hard, and where there is no bar, it'll be quite squishy. So basically, if there's no bar, your roof will actually flex quite a bit, like that. And if there is anything under there, you won't be able to push down on it. So let's just say this piece of metal here is the bar, and this is going across the center of your roof, say. You push down, it's quite hard. There's no give. You know that there's a bar going across. So again, if it's solid, don't drill into it. Trust me, don't drill into it. Another thing to be wary of some vehicles, especially some older vehicles, the roof, the liner. Sometimes I've actually come across it that the liner is, let's just say, taped or glued right to the roof, so there is no gap between the roof and the headliner. There is no gap. So be wary of that. In that case, you're better off going with a trunk lip mount style antenna, NMO. But in this case, we're just dealing with a single plate, which is a lot easier. So be wary of the again, the roof with the headliner glued directly to the plate. There's also another style of roof you may come across, and I've also come across it, that the roof is double plated. And what I mean by that is you got your outside plate, and right underneath that plate there's another plate roughly about a ½ inch below this plate. Some of the older vehicles are like that, so be wary of that. Again, that can be a painful adventure, but can be done. So anyways, so we'll just get our hole drilled here in the center of our roof, right here, with our hole saw. So let's get her drilled. Alright, so tighten up your hole saw, put your bit right dead center, wherever the center is on your plate, and you drill your hole. In this case, I'm going to need some reinforcement here a little bit. This steel is a little bit too flimsy, so we'll put that right center. Center of this one anyways. Again, check underneath, make sure you're not drilling into anything, and then you just drill your hole. And there you have it. Now, I will tell you, this ring that you just drilled out piece will be very hot. So what I would suggest anybody do if they're drilling their hole, especially if you're not, used to it, take a headliner down so you can get access to the bottom of this. You can put a little small piece of tin or something right below your cut. That way you can catch this little round piece, because this piece gets rather hot, to say the least. Or you can do what I do, drill so far through, don't let it, just before it punches through, stop. And then let the metal around it cool off this piece. And then when this is, fairly cool to the touch, do your final cut. And then it'll just drop right out. And it'll drop right down. Sometimes it'll let go, but if you can get underneath, just work it loose like that. And there you go. So basically that's what's, this piece here is what'll drop out. That's what you're cutting out of your roof. Again, this is got plastic or something on it, so it kind of smoked a little bit, but you can tell that when the drill bit went through, that it never went all the way through. Just enough to puncture it, and it'll give you an idea how deep it goes. And your headliner is usually a good 5-6 millimeters below that again. So you usually, with a headliner, especially if it's a really loose headliner, you got no worries of touching your headliner with that air hole saw. So let's clean this up, and this is what you're going to need your files for. Down below you see this little knob, burr I guess you call it. Yeah, that you want to get rid of. Again, that's where the file will come in handy. So let's get the foils out and I'll show you how you get it. So for this next thing, you need your round foil. So this is the top of your roof. What you want to do is round off, or take the sharp edge off the center, as well as try your best to eliminate the burrs underneath. Again, if you got your headliner down, these burrs will disappear pretty easy. But if you haven't got your burr, or haven't got your headliner down, then just very slowly take the foil and just go around the edge. Keep foiling until you get a nice even edge here, and you get rid of the burrs on the inside. Possible. So it's up to yourself. This is optional. Most of the time you won't get the burrs here. It all depends on how tough this metal is. So there we go. There's our hull. So now next part is to get our NMO mount into this here hole. So let's get the mount out and get it put in here. So at this point, you've got your hole in your roof. You've got all this cable. You got to route this cable from this hole down toward the radio. Now that itself is a video all by itself, but it can be done quite easily. So basically what we're going to do is get this NMO mount put in that hole. So usually inside your vehicle there will be a light in the roof inside. You can just pop out the light, pop it down, unscrew it. Most of the times they're just clipped in there, and you can right straight up from that you can put your NMO where your light is. But anyways, so what we got to do, we got to feed our coax down through the hole, just like that. Of course, you keep want to bundle up every now and then. Right. Then you basically left with this on your roof. So all you got to do is see how easy that just slides right in there. Now, this is the next part I'm going to tell you. You had to be very careful, because most of the time your hole is pretty much going to be the same size as this brass part, and if you're not careful, you can actually lose this down inside the hole. Yeah, that can be a royal pain in the butt. So that is where the flathead screwdriver comes in. So basically what I do, personally, I just line it up, put my screwdriver underneath that lip, just to keep this from falling down. And I line up the hole, line up the brass underneath, and then I put my flathead screwdriver there. That'll keep this from dropping down. And then you need the rest of your goodies. You need your other brass ring that fits over your NMO mount to tighten everything down. And what we're looking for this ring right now. You're looking for that ring and the rubber grommet that goes with it. The rubber grommet, or rubber bushing, whatever you want to call it, is this part here. It helps keep the water out, but personally what I've discovered, do not solely rely on that thing to keep water out from getting inside the cab. Never rely on that. So you just put your rubber grommet, bushing, whatever, onto your ring like so. And then take the ring, screw it down over the brass over your mount. And whatever you do, don't cross thread it. Just screw it down like so. Then you can take your screwdriver out. It's not going anywhere. And just hand tighten it down. Your cable's probably want to slop around a bit, but just put it in as tight as you can. It's okay if your cable moves a little bit at this point. Then you just put it in tight. Make sure she's centered over your hole, and then hand tighten it like that. So basically, here's your NMO mount. So now what you have to do, you have to tighten this ring up, but this center brass can't move, because if this is moving with this, then your cogs inside is also going to start moving around, and then you could possibly snap your connection on the inside, as you can see. See how it just moves around? It's not a good thing. You don't want that moving. So what you have to do at this point is, this is where the needle nose pliers come in. You notice that there are two holes in this brass mount. Well, put your needle nose pliers, one down in one hole, one down in the other, just like that, and put pressure on it. Now you want your pliers. I guess first thing you want to do is set them up, make sure they're not too big. And now you want to grab the flat parts of it, of that ring, and now you want to turn it. Gotta tighten up this a little bit. Slap it around a tiny bit. There we go. Trying to do this without getting my hands and arms in the way. A little bit difficult. Get hold of that. If this was a vehicle, this wouldn't be so bad. Kind of hard to do it here like this, but just giving you an idea. Again, put your pliers on the flat part. And turn it just like that. And those pliers will keep the dark brass in place. And put it tight. Not enough to strip it, but you don't want to do loose either. There we go. And now we have our NMO as mounted. And as you can see, the mount do not move now, so it's nice and tight. So that's that part. Now you think you might be finished. No, you're not finished yet. So the next thing you have to do, then you have to get your dielectric grease, which is Ultra Seal, corrosion preventive sealant. Deadly stuff, and you can use this right on top of these connections. It's not going to hurt anything. I don't let anybody tell you any different. So you just put your dielectric grease a little bit over that, because you want to make sure your connections to your whip is good and solid. A little bit of dielectric grease. There we go. So now you get your antenna, and you get this piece here. So this piece basically slides like that. That's it. So then you just take this. Now sometimes there's another rubber ring, depending on type of antenna you get. There's a rubber ring. It also goes with this, and it doesn't appear that that rubber ring is supplied with this particular Motorola kit. But anyways, we shall continue. So we just take your antenna, and again, screw it on, Once again, don't cross-thread it. If you cross-thread it, you're going to have a very bad day. You might have to try this a few times before you finally get the screw on there right. Some of these kits are better than others. This one, I don't know. There we go. I think we're good. Now just make sure there's no rubber ring here. There is no other rubber ring. So there's neither one supplied with it, which is a bad thing. So, right now, you hand tight. The rubber ring, now, I'll just turn this up. See the gap that's here? Well, the rubber ring would normally fill that gap. It'll sit between the plate, which is the roof, and the antenna mount, which is that chrome part, which would fill that up. But this particular kit, TAE 6052A, do not supply that little rubber mount. So now we have to use our pliers again. Now we have to tighten this antenna up, and again, you don't want to tighten up so much that you'll strip this thing. Again, that's also bad, because then if you got to replace the antenna for any reason, the ring is going to come with it. So now we're just going to tighten up the antenna. Make a note that the antenna cable, RG58, don't move. So just leave it like that. Don't need to be bar tight. Just like that. That's enough. That's plenty. Just like that. And if you're wondering if it is tight enough, my trick I use is to whip, pull up on the whip. There shouldn't be any movement when you push up. When you pull up and push down, that whip shouldn't move. This don't move, you know you got a good connection inside. So there you go. That's how you mount the NMO mount on your vehicle. Just like that. Easy sneezy. So now you may think you're done. In actuality, you're not done. Next, you need silicone. Silicone do come with this kit. Not a whole lot, as you can see. So I wouldn't rely on it. I just take that, give that a flick, and get yourself some decent silicone, 100% silicone, and make sure that it clears dry. Or when it dries, it's clear. So now we're going to put this silicone around the base, keep the water out from going in underneath here. Another little thing I like to do is I like to put silicone around this rubber cone right here, and then up around the whip. That way there's no possible way water can get into this mount. So let's silicone that up. So you just get your silicone, unscrew it, and all I do is I just put a little smack there, a couple of smacks to a couple of them, just like that. Just like that, and use your trusty finger then to work that silicone in around the bottom. That way you're making sure the water cannot get in underneath this ring, this chrome ring. Well, some people out there do silicone different ways, but in the end, as long as the water can't penetrate the roof, that's all that matters. That's all we're looking for here. I just put silicone around here. Anywhere that water could possibly penetrate, I put silicone. I take no chances. Just like that. Make sure it's all in underneath, and there's no gaps when you're done, because gaps are bad. If there's your gap there at all, water can get in there. And if water can get in there, water can potentially get into the vehicle. There we go. a cloth or something to wipe that off you. It's not going to hurt you. So there we go. I have silicone filling up the void all the way around. And I've got silicone up around the whip and on the rubber. So there's no possible way in the world that water can get in there. I know there's some people out there now maybe saying, oh Jesus, why don't you get your cloth and wipe off your silicone? Well, you know, yes, you can definitely get a cloth. You can definitely wipe this off. But in doing that, you could also be breaking your good solid connection now for your silicone, your sealing. So if you want to remove excess silicone at this stage in the game, you most certainly can. So let's try it and we'll see what happens. Paper towel. Now we're going to remove the excess silicone because there are some anal people out there. Make this freaking true when they see a bit of silicone. So, remove it. Me, personally, I don't do this. I don't like doing this. And I'll show you why in a minute. Why I don't like doing this. Right. Enough of that. Okay. So, we've cleaned up the silicone. It might look wet now, but it will dry. So, here's what happens if you try to clean this off. Personally, I don't clean it off, but this is what can possibly happen. So now, here's your mount. Now, you notice the sealant, how well I had it sealed before. Notice how much now it's opened up underneath again. Now you haven't got much protection now, do you? Don't have as much protection there anymore. See that? Sure, silicone there, but how well have you sealed it? How well is the silicone getting underneath there? After all, you got a big gaping hole in the bottom of your roof. Inside your roof, do you want water coming down there and rusting up underneath? I sure as hell will. So we're going to do it the way I do it. Once again, I'm going to make sure water can't get under there. We're going to do exactly what I did before. And let's seal up any possible access for water to get under there, to get underneath that chrome ring. Just like that. There you go. Now, if you want to clean off the outside edge here, you can certainly do that. So the silicone will come out so much, but don't touch the ring. If you touch the ring, you're removing silicone, and you're removing your seal. And then just another little one, just to make sure. There you go. Again, make sure it gets in there. Don't be afraid of silicone, folks. It's not going to hurt you. I'm still alive. I've been at this now 6 years. So, and now get silicone reapplied, and again, now we're sealed. There's no possible way water is going to get underneath that ring and penetrate your roof. And we can even go one more piece of protection as well if you like, because you can put silicone inside around this as well. If you're a bit suspecting that this could possibly leak, you can also silicone here. But you always got to make sure that you do that afterwards, because this brass has to make contact with the inside of your roof, to the metal. But yeah, basically that's how you install an NMO. Basically how you install it in a vehicle. So yeah, easy. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. The only last part you need to do is put on your PL259 connectors right there, which you'd need your torch, you need your solder, you need your strippers, and me, I like to use my flathead screwdriver or flathead foil to file down the reducer, make sure the solder clings to it, and of course your multimeter then to test your connector and make sure you got no short, because as it sits there's no short circuit whatsoever on this antenna. So once you get your connector put on and you find short circuit, it's your connector. It's never this. Because there's no direct connection. Anyways, we enjoyed the video, folks. And as always, take her easy. 7-3, and all the best. Radio 63, out.